you ready for an entertainment experience of a lifetime? Knockdown, drag-out, hard-hitting conversations, debates, and interviews. Well, if you said yes to any of these questions, sit back, relax, and enjoy something like no other. This is the Isolation Series podcast, presented by wellbeingsperformance.com for all your online meeting needs, and by imprintpilates.com Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's premier Pilates studio, also specializing in rehabilitation and athletic conditioning, and finally by greenstorage.ca Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's #1 self-storage facility. Here now is your host, Spencer Miller.
Hey guys, and welcome to this Monday edition of the Isolation Series with me, Spencer Miller. Very pleased to be joined by my co-host and partner in crime in this little thing we like to refer to as the Isolation Series, Paul Shields. But also, more importantly, to start off your week, I'm very pleased to welcome back my very dear friend, although I do not like to admit it in open court, and he is an actor, a producer, and a jack of all trades. And of course, I could only be referring to the one, the only Richard H. Blake. Richard, welcome back to the Isolation Series, my friend.
Thank you. And I'll give you the $20 later.
Wonderful. Let's jump right in. I want to get your thoughts first and foremost. Tomorrow is game 1 of the 2021 Major League Baseball World Series. And I know that is a sore spot for both you and I at the moment because it pits Houston Astros, aka the Cheaters, versus the Atlanta Braves, who are making their return to the World Series, I believe, for the first time since 1999, and have not won it in 26 years since 1995. My question to you is, putting all the bitterness aside about the Red Sox looking good at the beginning of the ALCS and then looking not so good for the latter part, what do you expect out of this series? And are you like the majority of baseball fans and want to see Atlanta capture their first World Series championship in 26 years?
So I'll go in order. First, yes, I'm still mending the wounds from the Red Sox not making it to the World Series. But I really thought we had a chance there, man. We were doing good. We're doing good. Game 2 and 3 looked real nice. Thought we could carry it on, but I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. I also am like the rest of, I think, the population, and I do absolutely want the Atlanta Braves to go in there and smash and grab. Basically, I want them to take it in right away. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Be done. That's it. No, I don't need them to even get a game in. A shutout would be nice. I live down in South Carolina. I'm only 2 hours from Atlanta now, so like there's no professional baseball team in South Carolina. So the Braves are actually, the team that everyone roots for where I'm living now. So I'm absolutely rooting for the Braves, or else I'd get kicked out of my neighborhood.
Right. All right. And do you think that it's going to be a competitive series? I mean, heading into the playoffs, nobody really pegged the Braves to be the team out of the National League. I mean, you had the Dodgers, who really did not look like they came to play in the entire series with the Braves and things like that. And it's been a pretty easy playoffs, all things considered, for the Braves. But like I said, nobody really pegged the Braves to come out of the National League side of things and end up in the World Series. And I know that this happens in sports all the time. When you get a hot team, they can ride momentum all the way to the championship. So what are you actually expecting out of this team for the first time coming back in 22 years when the lights are on the brightest?
Well, I mean, I think that's it. It's the hot hand, when you're playing sports, you want the hot hand to have the ball, and that can change all the time. Right now, they're hot. They're playing well. And yes, it did seem like an easy series in the, it didn't seem like they put up much of a fight, but the Dodgers, I mean, it's still Major League Baseball. They're all really good players. So, when you're hot, you're hot, So I think they're riding in with momentum. They're also riding in with 26 years of, waiting for this, and they know the magnitude of it. That said, that also has its own amount of pressure. When you're like, oh, we are the ones who have the chance. We are the ones who could, rewrite this story. That puts a lot of pressure on you too. So hopefully they won't let the pressure get to them. Hopefully they'll just stay the hot hand. I think it's going to be a fun series. I hope it's not, like I said, I hope it's just, 1, 2, 3, 4 and done. But and I hope they don't even make it look hard. I hope they make it look just as easy. So
Speaking of hard things, switching to football, I want to get your thoughts again, going back to where you currently live. Obviously, you're in the heart of Carolina Panther country, and
yeah.
through the first 3 weeks of the season, Sam Darnold looked like he was going to be the king of Carolina for the foreseeable future. And now, for the last 3 weeks, that has not been the case, sort of with the culmination and the climax happening of them taking Sam Darnold out during yesterday's game versus the New York Giants in favor of PJ, who came in to try and light a spark under the team. Unfortunately, that did not work out in their favor. So my question to you is, for everybody that is watching and or listening to this, that A is a football fan, but B is a Carolina Panthers fan, are you worried, and is it time to press the panic button, even though we're only through 7 weeks of the season?
I think the Carolina offense runs through CMC, right? So if Christian McCaffrey's not out there doing what Christian McCaffrey does, then it's tough. I think they just have a tough time. It allows the defenses on other teams to know what they're doing. I mean, the great thing about McCaffrey is that he A, can't be stopped, but B, they have to put so much energy into stopping him that it frees up Moore and Anderson to have, and these guys to have much better, more productive, and there's all these guys like to have more productive outings. And I think it also makes Sam comfortable. So I think, is it time to put the panic button on? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think it's absolutely time to put the panic button on, but I still think he's the guy. I still think he can do it. I still think he is the right man for Carolina. I think he fits in well with their scheme. I think, they just got to get back on track, get healthy and get back on track and figure out how to rework the offense, until they get McCaffrey, back to 100%.
Do you think a lot of it has to do with untimely drops by Robbie Anderson and that receiving core too? Because it seems like week after week we are seeing countless drops that need to be cut.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. That's the thing. I mean, you can't even put that on the pressure that they've been getting. They've had their hands on the ball. If you're in the NFL, if your hands touch the ball, that's a catch. You should be catching that ball. You know what I mean? Like, you can't complain about the contact or the whatever. I mean, you're paid many millions of dollars to hold that ball once it reaches your hand. So yeah, I mean, I do think that Robbie Anderson's drops have been a bit, even Moore's had, his, but the funny thing is, if you go to like the DraftKings and the FanDuel sites and you read up on their player stats, a lot of times they're blaming it on, his production, Darnold's production, and how he's, passing to them. So I don't actually think that's on him as much. I actually think that these guys, you see the ball hit their hands. I'm just a believer that if the ball hits your hands, you better come down with it.
I will tell you though that yesterday, one of the highlights of the year so far through the first 7 weeks, at least for me, was seeing Daniel Jones, the quarterback of the New York Giants, go out as a wide receiver and subsequently not only catch the ball but do a highlight reel one-handed Tyree or David Tyree against the helmet type catch.
Can we
That
not
was
bring up David? Can we not bring up David Tyree? Some of us are still mourning that.
that's
Some of us
years,
Patriot fans.
13 years you're mourning that. But also speaking of that,
That was Tommy's number 8, by the way. Okay, that would have been number 8. So can
yeah,
we? Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it-
that was a highlight. I think Danny Dimes is. They love him there. Yeah, if he could just. They don't have a receiver. He has to be the receiver. I'm surprised he didn't throw it to himself. They don't have any receivers in the Giants. They're like, who does he got to throw to? What do you
right.
expect?
Right now, shifting gears to your boy, Tom Brady, that we just referenced. He became the first quarterback in NFL history yesterday to throw 600 touchdowns. That is absolutely nuts. And it was really like heart breaking for a few moments there when Mike Evans forgot that it was number 600 and gave it to a fan, which, by the way, they went and did some negotiating to get the ball back, and that guy had the weakest deal ever in the history of whatever. All he wanted was a game ball and some type of jersey. I don't know about you, Richard, but if that was me, I'd ask for some season tickets for life.
Yeah, I'm
And
like, he is not a good negotiator. I'm not asking that guy to negotiate any contracts for me. Let's put it that way. All right.
right, right, but let's put it into context here if we can for a moment. We know the 600 home run club only has about 18 members in baseball, and same with the 600 goal club only has about 10 or 11 members in hockey. But he is the first quarterback ever to do it in the NFL. Now that once again speaks to his longevity and everything like that. But how significant would you say this 600 uh, um, touchdowns is in the pantheon of all the records that Tom Brady has?
I mean, it's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. He keeps shattering records left and right. And we're amazed every time. But this is huge because I don't know. I don't know if anyone's gonna be able to match it. I just don't know also if players have the longevity that players like Brady have. You look at Mahomes and Lamar, and Lamar I don't think could sustain a 22-year career. I just he's too
He's too small.
well, not only is he too small, but he puts himself out there. He takes more of a beating than anybody else because he plays as a running back as well, So
It
you
reminds
know,
it reminds me of the old Pittsburgh quarterback back in the day, Cordell Stewart.
oh wow, yeah, throwback. Yeah, yeah, totally. But those guys, I just don't think they have the physical longevity because of what they're putting their bodies through. Maybe a Mahomes, who couldn't also drop back in the pocket and stay there like Brady. But I think that it'll be very, very hard for anyone to ever actually reach this milestone. So I think this is one of those records where, passing yards, things like that. I think that those are possibly broken someday. I don't think I'll be shocked if anyone ever breaks his Super Bowl rings, gets 7. I don't think that that's an achievable goal for anyone either. But I'm not saying it's not possible. I just would be shocked. But 600 touchdowns, that's you have to put in the time, you have to have the amount of years, and be the guy who throws 4 touchdowns a game.
Right now,
consistent.
right now, one of the craziest things to me is that Tom Brady, at the age of 44, is having possibly one of his top 3 seasons of all time at age 44. And we've seen this before in some respects in terms of the fact that when Peyton Manning first joined the Denver Broncos, he set that single season touchdown record and everything like that. and then very quickly became a game manager because his foot started giving him issues and he declined really, really quickly because obviously when you're older that happens. My question to you is, do you think that Tom Brady, with whatever his regimen is and has been for a long time, and because he's so in tune with himself, that we will be talking, 5.5 years from now about Tom Brady reaching his goal somewhat sarcastically originally when he talked about it? But do you think we will see him turn into the quote unquote Satchel Paige, if you will, of football and play till the age of 50?
Here's the thing. I- His game, if you if he can throw the ball and he can still throw the ball with accuracy, and move as quick as he's moving right now, like, and I'm talking about quick, I don't talking about running down the field, obviously. I'm talking about releasing the ball, changing directions, you know, uh, seeing what he needs to see. If they put the right line in front of him, it comes down to, is he gonna get hit? Do you know what I mean? Like, it, I think that he could play as long as those things are still capable. And I don't think in 5 years he won't be able to throw the football. Is he going to throw it 70 yards? No. But does he throw it 70 yards now? No. I mean, he'll throw a bomb every now and then, but he doesn't have to. Uh, and I think that if he has the right protection, what's to stop him? I mean, the thing about Tom Brady that's different is Tom Brady could have retired years ago. The man, A, has more money than he knows what to do with, and his wife is even richer than he is. So I mean, it's not like this guy's doing it because he has this burning fire inside him that says, I need to win, and I don't ever want to stop winning. Like, I just want to keep winning. And when you have, as long as he has that, I don't think he's trying to prove anything anymore. I mean, nah, I mean, I say that, but he definitely still plays with a chip on his shoulder. But I think he'll always have that. I don't think that's going anywhere. I don't think he's ever going to reach a point where he's like, yep, I've proved them all wrong. Because if he hasn't done that yet to himself, then it's never going to happen. Look, I think it's crazy to think about, but I don't think it's impossible.
Right. Okay, switching gears. I want to talk to you about something that we talked about briefly last time you were on because it was gearing up to start, and that is the return of Broadway. Over the last couple of weeks, you've been fortunate enough to go and see a few shows while getting your current show, A Bronx Tale, up in New Jersey. My question to you is, what has been the vibe around Broadway and around the specific theaters that you've been fortunate to be at, whether it be the Imperial for the incredible show Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations, or when you went to go and see the privileged invited dress of Jagged Little Pill, the story based on the monster album of Alanis Morissette from 26 years ago as well. What are the vibes that you are getting right now? Are people still relatively hesitant? Are like, what's the vibe inside the theater with people sitting that close together? Are people just over, the pandemic once they get into the theater and just are back into the way that we all knew the theater to be, or how is it?
Well, I think that, because of the safety measures that are taken, you have to have proof of vaccination, before you go into the theater, and you have to sit with your mask on for the whole show. I don't think anyone really has the fear, of being in there. I think anyone who's in the theater, feels comfortable and safe. And everyone is just so excited, just so thrilled to be back, in that environment and seeing live theater, and the energy just coming from the audience is, they are so thrilled to be able to do this again, to go out and see, amazing performances and live entertainment. So no, it was absolutely, so energetic, and vibrant. The light, like the audience was just so excited on everything. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was like really, really wonderful, and made me feel good to see that like we are actually going to get there. We are actually going to get back to, quote unquote normal. I think at some point, and it was nice.
Now, I couldn't get you out of here without talking about your show, A Bronx Tale, which goes up at the end of this week. I know that it has been quite the journey over the last few weeks to get it to this point and get it ready to go up and things like that. And I also know that it is a non-union show as
Mhm.
well. Even though it is non-union, do you still feel the same energy and excitement from those actors that you do from the Broadway actors at this point? Because everybody is just so happy to be back working and back on the stage.
Oh, 100%, if not more. I mean, like, uh, you know, n- just these days, non-union, it's so different because the rules of equity have changed a lot, and a lot of people will choose to stay equity eligible so that they can do both non-union and union jobs. So the caliber of talent, we have an amazing cast. They're fantastic, and they are all so excited to be, for most of them, this is the first show that they've been able to do since, theaters open back up. So they are all just just so excited and can't wait to get out in front of an audience. We're putting in the work in the room. We also have some great equity guest artists in the show playing, some of our leads, and that's fantastic too. We actually have the guy who played my understudy on the first national tour is playing Lorenzo. He's playing, the part that I originated. And Mike Keller is playing Sonny, a very well-known TV actor, television and film actor, and he's fantastic. And so we do, have a little bit of both worlds coming together here. But we are just excited to get this up in front of people. We are excited to be able to do what we love to do again. And so yeah, I think everybody is getting through the roof. But we start tech today, so we go into the theater and start putting in the work today.
So the only real drawback I'm hearing from your voice is the fact that everybody has to deal with you as a director in this particular case.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for them. I definitely will be sending a really nice basket of chocolates or something, cannolis, on opening night to say, I'm sorry that you had to put up with me for the last month, but thank you guys for everything.
Right. And just before we get you out of here, we're gonna get you out of here on these two things. First, without giving too much away, I wanted to wait until I had you back on the isolation series with me to sort of talk uh, briefly about what you and I are cooking up, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I haven't talked about it and I haven't really told anybody about it until now because I figured it would be most appropriate to have you on here to talk about it a little bit. Um, but why don't you talk about what we have cooking up a little bit here down the road, not too far from now, hopefully.
Well, Spence, you have had quite an amazing journey through this life, and I think it's fascinating. I think that there's so much that people don't know about you, and I think that it's time that the world knows it. So we have been creating and putting together a one-man show for you, um, that I think is going to be fantastic. Uh, People will learn so much about Spence, about uh, what it's like to, be a motivational speaker, to be an inspiration, to be brand ambassadors, to have to deal with crazy actors like me. And, I think that at the end of the day, people are going to, when they see this show that we're putting together, they are going to laugh, they are going to cry, but they're also going to leave knowing a little bit more about this world. And so I'm very excited. very, very excited to see what people think of what we put together here.
Yes, and special shout out to our other partner, Joe, on this project as well. Joe yeah, Joe Ricci is quite the integral part in this, and I
But
think
let's
it is.
face it, he's the brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 and he's also the needler,
Exactly.
because ladies and gentlemen, we've had many a Zoom call to create it and continue to, and there's been some interesting points in all of our Zoom calls, all for the better.
Yep.
But it's been an interesting process. Let's just say that. And Richard, why don't you mention the wonderful title that we so nicely came upon a couple of work sessions.
The current working title for the show is, "Oh right, I can't walk."
Yes, yes. So
Uh,
there's multiple layers to that, and when you come and see the show, obviously you'll find out more about that. But right now, that's the working title. Who knows if it stays that way? But we like it so far.
Good chance that's the title.
And Paul, I'd be remiss if I did not throw it over to you for a moment, because I know you like having Richard on with us as well. Do you have anything that you would like to ask Richard before we end this fantastic episode of the Isolation series itself, my friend?
Sure. Thanks, Spence, and thanks, Richard, for being on again. Just curious on the feeling from moving from such a role that you said you originated to now directing people in a story that's obviously close to your heart, going from the one side of the production to the other. How does that feel? And how did you handle that?
I was at first a little apprehensive just because I am so close to the other side of this production. I wanted to make sure that I was able to detach, but I was also incredibly excited for the opportunity because I love this story so much. It has been a part of my life for almost 8 years now, and I think it's a story that just needs to be told forever and forever and forever. It's a story about family, and it's a story about a boy torn between two father figures, and father and son stories get me every time. So when given the opportunity, I actually was very, very excited. And I now, through the process, I've learned even more about the story, that, just from looking at things from a different perspective. And I still luckily have my great friend Chaz Palminteri to, call and reference and be like, "Hey, Chaz, so I'm thinking this, what's your thoughts? Is that something that we make sense to your story, to your life?" And so that's a privilege that I have that probably not every director who directs A Bronx Tale has. And so it's been a real treat. And I've directed several things, but this is by far the one I'm having the most fun with.
And just because you brought it up about how father-son things get you all the time, obviously because of your son Grayson and different things like that. I just want you to tell this story because this remains one of my favorite stories you've ever told me. And that is with the time that you showed Grayson, your son, some highlight reels of your work.
That. Well, so my mom was actually showing him a video of when I did Saturday Night Fever. And in the show, I take off my shirt and I flex, and do that whole like boxing scene that he does in the mirror. And so my mom is showing him the video of this, and she goes, "That's Dad." And he goes, "That's Dad?" And she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "This must have been a really long time ago."
Yeah.
Thanks, son. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Yes. And said it directly to you with no ramifications whatsoever.
What am I supposed to do?
Yes.
Like, I mean, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Like, out of the mouths of babes, the utter honesty, it can hurt sometimes, but just all it did was make me want to go to the gym. That's all. So we'll see. 2022, I'm coming for you.
Right. And we have a lot of different people on this show and a lot of variety of different people on the show, but I've mentioned this multiple times. You are a very, very dear friend. And over the last several months, it has been ridiculously fun to send stuff for you and your son and your wife, especially for his birthday, which we talked about the first time that you were on, and things like that, and then the WWE stuff and things like that. So
He's a lucky kid. Yes.
he is. Yeah, we were talking about it. We said that he's been so lucky lately that in 3-4 years from now, what are we gonna do?
I told you he's not gonna know what to do. He's not gonna realize when real life hits him, and he doesn't get these experiences that he's had over the last however long. It's going to be a shock to his system. He's going to be, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't go down to the fields? What do you mean I have to sit up, in the bleachers? What do you mean? I mean, it's just, he's not going to. I'm like, no, that's how it works, buddy. You're like, this is real life. So yeah.
But anyways, man, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule on your first day of tech. We wish you nothing but the best of luck with the run of the show and with tech this week. I'm crossing my fingers that you don't run into any more hiccups, because
we're good.
Yes.
Part of the live theater. The hiccups are what make it fun.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but whatever.
That's the fun part, is like trying to go, well, how do we solve this problem?
Yes. How do we solve a problem like Richard?
That's right.
Or something.
Done that show many times.
Yes. But always great having you on, and look forward to having you on again with us in about a month or two, my friend.
Yeah. Good, brother.
That is.
You know where to find me.
Yes. That is the one, the only Swiss Army knife himself, Richard H. Blake. And this has been another edition of the Isolation series of me, Spencer Miller, and my co-host with the most, and an individual who I love doing these types of shows with, because you hear a tremendous amount from him, the one and only Paul Shields. But for Paul and for Richard, I'm the better looking one out of the three of us, Spence. And this is the Isolation series. We'll see you all again on Thursday with another live episode. As for the next 2 days, we will be putting up classics due to our busy schedule, but we'll be back at it again on Thursday, just before Thursday night football. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks once again for tuning in to today's episode of the Isolation series with me, Spencer Miller, and that guy right over there, Paul Shields. As always, today's show has been brought to you by wellbeingsperformance.com for all your virtual meeting and virtual meet, period. Please go to wellbeingsperformance.com, as well as Barbarian Steakhouse, Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's premier steakhouse facility since 1959. For more information, including any new updates on their menu, please go to barbarians.com, as well as imprintpilates.com, Toronto's premier Pilates studio, and greenstorage.ca, Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's #1 self-storage facility. For more information, please go to greenstorage.ca. And Paul, please tell people all about some more whole grain goodness that is us.
Folks, be sure to check us out on podbean.com by going to theisolationseries.podbean.com. There you'll find the audio-only versions of the podcast, including all of our past amazing interviews. One more time, that's theisolationseries.podbean.com. And hey, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's at @thespencermiller and at Pauly Shields, Pauly spelled Pawly. So find us on podbean.com, follow us on Instagram, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Special shout out to our newest partner in crime on the Isolation series, and that is the Toronto Immune and Digestive Health Institute. For more information, please go to TIHDI.ca, and they can take care of all of your needs, from IVs to scopes and everything in between. Mark Silverberg and his team will treat you with spectacular respect and knowledge. That is the Toronto Immune Health and Digestive Institute.ca. You do not want to miss it. And once again, everybody, thank you for watching and or listening and supporting this thing we like to call the Isolation Series. For Paul Shields, I am Spencer Miller, and we will see you again very, very soon.